All right, so following the stems, excuse me, the frame's edge. And I'm just gonna sit back in my chair here and I'm gonna look at it, make sure that I'm following what I see. I'm not getting too far away from the size and shape of things. Darkening this frame just a little bit so I can see it better. And it's rectangular where this side's a little bit bigger than this end on this side. So it's looking like what I see there, roughly. So I like that. You can, again, I'm just doing this as a demo for you guys. Okay, this isn't a commission. I'm not getting paid for it or anything like that. You can take your sweet time with this and do it slow. You know, take your time with it, do it where you can be very accurate with it, okay? I mean, they're just glasses, so don't get all anal with it, okay? Don't go crazy with it. Doesn't have to be that perfect. But, you know, if you got weird, bizarre angles, then yeah, that's when you want to go and check that, okay? You're gonna have to fix it because that means you screwed up big somewhere. And now I'm looking at the hat versus the glasses. Why? Because the hat is going over the stem of the glasses here, so it needs to make sense that way. And you can see this is like a little curve right here in the shadow. That's because the hat is pulling away from the face as it goes around the stem. And I like that look. You know, it looks very three-dimensional, have that effect. So I'm gonna do something like that, and it cuts into the stem about that much. And that's the hat there. And then here are the shading there. Okay. So now let's go to the other side. Now remember when I talked about in the last video, putting the top and bottom, the left and right of your lenses, okay? That right now is paying off big. If I didn't have that and I was just gonna go crazy and I just figure it out later, man, you would be erasing a lot. You'd probably screw up the eye underneath. You'd be making all sorts of unnecessary mistakes from laziness, okay? So I'm gonna go in there. I'm just gonna kind of go where I left off, which is over here on this edge of the glasses. And I'm gonna come in here. It's not too bad. I mean, I really wasn't trying to make an amazing, crazy, accurate portrait. I just wanted a demo for you guys so you can see, you know, all the techniques that I use. That's really the most important thing to me. You get the techniques down. And it's actually not coming out too bad. Remember, this edge here is the outermost edge, but it curves inward on the outside of that lens. So I don't want to take this to the very edge, that corner where the lens, the side of the lens meets the bottom of the lens right here. It's actually this way of the outside edge. So I want to make sure that I do that. And then before I make this lens more for sure, like by darkening it in, I want to make sure you look at its shape versus this lens, and that its height and width are similar to the height and width on this lens. You don't want a tiny little lens on one side and a big lens on the other, or vice versa, because it's going to look like crap. It's going to look just really bizarre. Remember, the lenses, the shape of glasses, they just got to get close. Don't get all crazy trying to be, you know, perfectionist with the glasses, making it look exactly, you know, to the millimeter or anything. Just get close so people can say, oh, okay, those look like his glasses. And that's all you need. You'd be amazed how inaccurate you could be and still be accurate, okay? You can be pretty accurate without having to be, you know, to the millionth of an inch accurate. And people, they're not going to notice the little itsy bitsy little things. They're going to notice, big stuff they're going to notice. An eye that's ginormous versus the other eye. The little things they're not going to notice too much. So this lens needs some work. And get my big fluffy brush for all those little eraser thingies, the little leftover things when you erase. And get that off. Yeah, it's not too shabby. Not too shabby. Personally, just leaning back now and looking at it, I feel like the lenses are a little too tall. A little too tall. So I should have, gone slower and everything else like I said, but whatever. It is just a little sample. So how would, let's just say that you had some really bizarre thing going on. They look like each other, but in general, you did the lenses where you feel they're too tall or too wide or too whatever. Well, let's just check the lens by comparing one lens to itself. Let's compare the height of this lens to its width. And it's about, I'd call it 2/3 of the width. Okay? So the height is equivalent to 2/3 of the width. In other words, let's see where it lands on the eye. It's even easier that way. So let's look at that, and then I'm going to come in from here, and it goes to just past the iris a little bit. So I'm going to take some rough measurements on that, and it's roughly from here, from left to right this way, it's the same in height. And when you look at that, hey, that's not too shabby, man. That's dead on, brother. And that's equivalent to 2/3. Is that 2/3 of the lens? Yeah, it looks like about 2/3. That little piece could fit 2 more times there. So I feel good. That's something that is accurate. And so that right there, what I just did was show you how to check your, in this case, your lens, okay? And then you want to go in there and check this lens, measure it from left to right and see if the left to right on this one, that they're the same or very, very close. And then check the height of it and compare it to the height of this one. They should be exactly the same. Remember those lines we did earlier? That pretty much did all that for me. So let's get rid of some of these little indicator lines here. And it really starts to look more like my buddy here because of the lines. I'm gonna go like this on that line that I told you I did for the shadow's edge. And just do that, tap it just to kind of get rid of it. Here's the bottom and side lines of the glasses. Same over here on this corner. Do that. That's not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Not too bad for an old beat up Marine. I'm gonna bring this in just a little bit. See the edge of that glasses right there? That's a little too far into the lens. I'm gonna erase that line there. I erased very softly. A lot of you dig in with this thing. I don't press hard ever. Not with my eraser, not with my pencil, not with anything. I press angel soft, very soft because I don't want it to destroy the surface. You start erasing really hard, especially with a hard white eraser, like this is a very hard eraser, okay? What you'll end up doing is you'll start basically rubbing the paper too hard and you'll damage it. Okay, so don't give yourself more headaches. And so I'm gonna do this. That's just to get that side there. And I see some lines in here, so I'm gonna get rid of that. Do that. This line there. I'm gonna start cleaning up a little bit. I've seen a lot of people draw in a very messy way. Now you see me, I got little sketches here, the stuff that I've done for you, and I got little lines. Of course you sketch, you do, but they're very light, okay? And what I do is I make sure that I get rid of information that I don't need. I don't want to have, 58 different lines to delineate the top of my head. I need one line, choose that line, stick to that line, and that's it. Move it a little bit if you have to, but you don't want to do a line like, I'll do one over here. You don't want to do this for an edge. What the hell is that? Which one of these lines indicates the edge? Because you're going to lose your mind. I sketch and I'm loose and free and everything else, but I make sure that once I start going in there and saying, you know, he's about that wide, tall, whatever, I start erasing. As you can see throughout this process, I've been erasing little by little all the useless, meaningless lines that I no longer need to make this project work for me. Okay? Because then they start to confuse you. That's looking pretty good. And Riley, if you're watching, you're more handsome in my picture than you are in real life, because I remember what you look like. You are one ugly son of a gun. No, I'm kidding. He's a nice guy. All right. Hey, that's not too bad. Not too bad. So I'm going to go in there now. The upper lip is always going to be darker than the bottom lip because the upper lip goes into your skull, right? It kind of comes out from the bottom of your nose and then goes into where your mouth line is, where the lips meet. And then the bottom lip is almost always in light because it's just coming out of your face. The upper lip's always going into your face. And since that upper lip, the top of the upper lip casts, basically it becomes a shadowy area right around here, as this becomes like a cliff. So you're walking this way, this becomes like a cliff and then sinks into the face. So always remember that the upper lip is like a cliff's edge. So I'm gonna do just a little bit of shading for the pink of the lips, like so. And Riley sent me recently a picture that his 12-year-old daughter did. I wish I had it on me. I'd put it up on the my channel right now. I just thought about it. And his beautiful daughter made a really nice, looks like a 19th century woman with those big, beautiful flowing dresses. Very nice pencil drawing. And she, I guess, had gone onto my website and logged onto my channel and liked what she saw. And it's really nice to be able to motivate kids to do this. So that was pretty cool. So a shout out to Roddy's beautiful family. And again, I want to thank him for letting me use his mug for this picture. All right. And up there, this bottom, you see this, all this edge here? That was where the line was originally for the bottom of his little cap there. I'm going to erase that back just a little bit. Okay, this is what I was talking about earlier. I try to clean up. Now there's some shading on this, so I don't want to erase all of it. I'm going to go back over it, but look at that. That's nice. Very nice. Let me erase some of these lines on his face, on his paper. Can't see a damn thing. And there's a little bit of shading right through here. It's kind of like a highlight right through the centermost part of his nose, as there usually is. So I'm just going to go in there and put just a little bit of value, not too much. Not too much, as we know that we're going to add later on more, because we can. You can add more later on. Yeah, I like that. And then the bottom of his nose is quite a bit darker than this. Right now it's all the same value, so it's looking flat. That's another thing, when you go to shade, if something looks flat, if your drawing looks flat, what that is basically your values are too close together. They're the same amount of darkness. If you look at the cheek here, you got light on this side, right? And then it's getting darker as his cheek recesses into the skull. So it'll be darker, right? You can just see that. It's darker here, and it gets lighter as it goes up. That value change, a lot of people, they struggle. They'll just do like whatever they think the value is, and they just apply it everywhere, okay? You got to look at values just like you do proportions and say, okay, you know, this is the same amount of darkness as this side over here, but look at the amount of darkness on these cheeks, for example. They are nowhere nearly as dark as the hat, which you could say is just a just pure black, okay? Because they're pure black hat, you know everything's going to be subordinate to that. The next darkest thing or something that comes as dark as the hat maybe are the irises, right? Look at that. And maybe some of these little wrinkles on the inside of the nostril, that sort of thing. But everything else is much, much lighter. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep working on this, and then we're gonna add some more darks. And what we could do, you know what, I'll do a little piece right now just to show you what I'm talking about. I'm gonna take a, what is this? This is a medium. And I'm just gonna do kind of like a key. A lot of artists do this. They'll put like the dark, since a lot of times the hair tends to be the darkest part of the head, they'll put a little key and say, well, this person has black hair. So they'll put some black or dark gray or whatever it is in the hair area, because then it lets their eye kind of see the darkest that you're gonna go with this, right? So since that hat is just black, I'm gonna go in there and I'm just gonna do this. And that's gonna allow me to say, okay, well, that's pretty much as black as I'm gonna go. I'm probably gonna go a little darker than that, but this is like a key, just so I can use it as a reference. Now I know everything has to be subordinate to this black right here in the hat. I'm not gonna finish the hat because it would just make a big black mess on my paper. It would just smudge. So I don't want to do that right now. I'll put that medium down. Notice I jumped over to medium because it's a lot darker. If I were to do it with my HB Hard, it probably just wouldn't be as dark. You could, but in general, the overall tone of the picture would just be a lighter tone of the picture. See over here? It's not as dark. Don't press harder to make something darker. It's just a thing people do. It's wrong. Just grab the next grade that's darker, okay? I went from my HB Hard to the next one, which is the medium. So I'll go back to the medium, darken this in, and now I got this little keyed up area. I'm like, okay, it's gonna be that dark at least, if not darker. It's likely gonna be darker. Now I got a reference. And let's see, I feel like the mouth might not be wide enough. So I'm just gonna check that. Yeah, it could be a little tiny bit wider. And as I put in the values and make things darker, it'll definitely start making more sense. As the values get put in, they start to define, the recess of the face, the darker areas, and things just start to kind of pop forward, sink in. They just start making sense. Okay. Not bad. Looking good, Riley. Looking good, brother. As you can see, it's taking a long time because, as I stated many times, you're going to be here a while when it comes to shading. And I'm also checking, being very perfectionist right now, checking angles and all that sort of thing. I'm going to go ahead and start moving this out just a little bit. I feel like I came in too much on there. All right. And everything that you're learning here on this channel is just years of experience and time, just a lot of practice. And as you get better, you'll do this. I'm taking forever because I'm, teaching right now, but I do this very, very fast, like when I draw from life. And I don't want to emphasize speed. I always want to emphasize accuracy to anyone that asks. Okay, people are like, wow, you work, when they see me draw from life, I work very fast, not because I'm trying to go fast, but simply because I just know what I'm doing. And if just from doing something so many, when you know what you're doing, you tend to work faster because you know what you're doing, not because you're physically moving faster. If you're a student and you're trying to learn to do this, don't make speed an issue. The only issue with speed that you should have is I need to slow down. That slowing down is going to give you the accuracy that you need, and then you're just going to wake up one day, you're going to do it, and you're going to find yourself saying, holy crap, I just did this faster today. I got to a certain point that used to take me 4 hours. I did it in, 2 hours or whatever. And so it should be faster because it naturally came to you that way, not because you're working faster. I've seen people that have actually taught to go faster, whatever, that's the way they want to teach. It's none of my business. I don't teach that. I don't like telling people to go faster. I tell them the opposite. I say go slower. Understand what it is you're doing, okay? And I guarantee you do that, man, you go slow. Everyone I know that I have taught, and explained this to that grasped the concept of speed and said, you know, I'm just gonna do as he said, I'm gonna go slow. They always end up coming back saying, oh my God, I was drawing and I used to take, you know, an hour to get to a certain point, and I'm doing it now in half that time. And I didn't try, it just happened. And that it should be like that, it just happened. I'm doing these little angled lines for those hairs. It's actually curly hair, but right now I'm just trying to get the base of the hair. So I'm just adding value. And then on top of it, I'll do the curls and all that stuff when we erase. And you'll see how long this takes. This whole beard thing is a whole nightmare of time. So this beard, I'm just filling it in, going in the general direction and following. It's darker here on this side than here where all this white is, but there's a lot of dark black spaces in between these hairs. We don't want to draw the light, we want to draw the dark, and then we'll erase out to get those lights. So I would just do everything pretty dark, knowing I can go lighter by erasing over it, and we'll do what's called that subtractive technique that I have done for you guys on that other portrait, and I'll do on this one too. And that's really my go-to technique for hair. Everyone's got, you know, their own thing. Some people get really crazy anal with the hair thing, and you know, they're there for what seems a millennia doing hair, and I'm like, holy crap, I don't got that kind of patience. I go in there and I do what makes sense, what gives a sense of, you know, curly, straight hair, whatever. You know, the direction of the hair, the amount of hair, and that's it. I don't go any more complex than that. Now I'm going to switch over to my medium, this nice dark area, so I can get darker faster. All right, I'm gonna switch over, see if I can get a soft. I feel like it's not dark enough for even a medium. That's probably because when I went into it, I started with the HB Hard and kind of covered the surface with that. And so I'm actually gonna go over to the Extra Soft. I would have moved to soft, but I don't know where I put that pencil, so I'm just gonna move to the Extra Soft, which is even darker. So I went from HB Hard, I went to medium, and now I'm going over to the Extra Soft. And you see instantly how much darker that is. Be careful when you go with this really dark stuff. I don't usually get to these pencils, to the Extra Soft and the soft, you know, just, unless I have to, but I don't usually need them for the work that I like to do. But in this case, I find that I do. And here's the little hat thing there. All right, so now I go over to my little chamois here, and I'm gonna go in there and put my chamois over all this stuff that I just put in, all this material. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna blend it in like so. And that's gonna kind of like blending out paint. Okay, it's gonna help to spread it around so I get an idea of what's going on. And I probably should have done the face, but I can't. I'm jumping around. Okay, let me be clear on this. I would rather have done the face, you know, the eyes, the nose, and everything, gotten further along with that before I started to darken the beard. And the reason is this smudgy mess is going to probably transfer to over there. Okay, I can handle that, but for some people, it you know, if you're not used to this, they can just make a big mess. So I'm doing that. I'm kind of jumping around because I'm trying to show you different techniques in this little thing here. So that's why I'm doing it. But if I had to do this my way and I wasn't filming or anything, I would be doing this face, you know, the eyes and everything. Finish that off a little bit better before I started adding all this value to the beard. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this little section here because I want to just show you a little bit, and it's probably gonna get smudged out from me working on it, but not a big deal. I just want to show you what I mean by the subtractive drawing technique. You're subtracting. That's why it's called subtractive. So let's just go into this little area. And so I see those white hairs that are doing that thing. So I'm going to do this. And you can see how it starts to erase out what I did. Now you'd want to finish the beard before you started erasing, but I just want to show you this little tiny area just to kind of give you a heads up of what you would do. And you would just follow that throughout the entire beard. If it was a person with long hair, a woman or something like that, you would do the same thing, okay? Again, I advise you to go back to the video that I did of the girl on the toned paper, and I go into that on that video in great detail. So I'm gonna just go in there, and I don't like to work this much into something. I'd rather take a break and then sit back and look at it from a distance because you get more accuracy that way. But I just got too much to do in my personal life, and this videotaping thing kind of takes a lot of time. So for that reason, I'm just going to continue. But if you feel tired or, you know, you just want to get away from it for a little bit, do so. You'll work better that way. So here's my brush. I'm going to just take this. Again, I just want to show you some different techniques. I'm going to blend out some of that nose area. Look at that. Just smooths it out. You don't need to use the whole brush thing. I do enjoy it. I think people, they tend to respond very well to drawings when they see it all smooth. That's the way we see the world, you know, it's nice and smooth and blended out. Okay, you don't have little lines on your face. Now back to my HB Hard, and that's going to be my 99% of the time what I'll be using here for the shading. And I'll just apply more of it as I continue. So I'm going to move over to this brush just to show you how this one, it's a little softer than the other one. Not a lot. You don't want it too soft. And I do enjoy, for this white paper, I like this one. I've read it before, I'll do it again. American Painter, it's a number 4 round. Got it, I think, at Michael's. And it works nice. Not, you know, it's not too expensive, relatively cheap brush, but it works great. Stiff enough to work and soft enough to not scratch your paper. So we'll do that. Okay, and it just gives you that nice ghostly effect, okay? So it gives you a nice little blend there. And then you just need to put in a little bit of material. You don't need a whole lot. And I let the brush work for me. It gives you those nice subtle little blends. Get rid of all those lines. And I'm like, oh, okay, that looks pretty good. You know, there's a little light spot right across the top of the cheek here. And so I left it a little lighter right up in here. Blending that out. And you don't have to use a brush, you can use a stump, okay? I find that on white paper, the Strathmore brand, the one that says drawing, that I covered that on another video, is really good paper. I love using this paper. It's become one of my favorite papers when I want to draw on a white surface. It blends really well with the charcoal. I mean, really good blending effect on here. So I highly recommend that. Darkening that up just a tad. Just a little bit, just to kind of recess that in. I'm gonna have to extend that shadow just a little bit more. But like I said, you know, you want to work a little bit lighter than what you think, because again, you can always go darker, right? Don't make that kind of mistake right now. So I'm gonna do this on this side. Shut the hell up, I'm making a videotape. Yeah, you'll be sorry, little turd. That was my daughter yelling if you heard her. So I apologize for any screaming you may have heard. But that's life. Okay. All right, not too bad. Some more shading, and again, you're gonna be here a while. Like I said earlier, you just kind of get into a groove. And you want to darken enough where that highlight on the nose sticks out. Remember, we're not adding white to this because it's white paper. It wouldn't receive it very well. It'd be invisible. So what we want to do is make the area around the highlights dark enough so those highlights show up. And once they start showing up, similar to what you see in the photo, you know your values are very good. They're going to be very close to what you have in the photo. Now his cheeks look very large because the bottom edge of that dark area of his cheek, I made it a little too low where that dark is. So I'm going to bring that up with a little bit more of these hairs that come out here. You hear any more screaming, I apologize. That's the, we got a new puppy now. We got a little Chihuahua animal thing the size of my shoe. And so everybody's telling it to go outside to do doggy duty stuff. And we're a Cuban household, so everybody's loud. Everybody screams. That's how you make a point in a Cuban household. You just get louder than the person sitting next to you. So that's that. I'm darkening this little line. And this basically, the whole shading that I'm doing, as you can see how I hold my pencil and all the stuff I've been talking about, it's just going over the same thing over and over, little by little. You move slowly. If you go too quick, you're gonna end up, you know, making decisions like, oh, I'm gonna have to, that's gotta be a lot darker. You're gonna make a mistake, and then you're gonna regret it, because then you gotta fix it. So you just take your time and work into this slowly. Okay, so there's a little edge there, defining more of that beard. And what I would do, I would save the very darkest dark. But you know, I mean, this beanie cover thing, this hat thing he's wearing, it's so black, it's just black, right? There's no thinking about it. I would save that to the very end, so you can really add all those darks. I don't like to leave my dark sitting on the surface like that, because it just tends to smudge. So I will blend that in with my stump. So for now, I'm just going to apply some dark black with my my extra soft. A medium would probably work just as fine, even a soft, but I want to kind of get through this. And to give that black hat some life, some more definition. In this picture, it's not showing anything. It just looks like a big solid, almost boomerang kind of shape. If you had a situation where there's maybe a little light on it, you'd want to, you know, it'd help you to show more texture. You could do that, and then just, you know, you would do it lighter. I may do something like that and just kind of invent, you know, the lights kind of like, it looks kind of like all over around the top of it. Maybe I could say it's more predominantly coming this way. Maybe I do a lighter spot up there just for the hell of it, just to make this a little bit more interesting. You don't have to do that, but you can. So I'm going to go into this eye, and I'm going to make that a little bit more solid than what I have now. And you can see how it starts to change. And it really starts to kind of set into the paper there. It really starts to pop. And there's reflection in the glass, right? What I like to do is I will do the whole area, you know, where the flesh beyond the lens there. I will do all that area first, and then what I'll do is I'll go in there once I add all the height, you know, the darks and stuff, and, you know, smudge all this in. I'll just do a little bit over here, and I'll go something like that. So there's nothing white inside that lens, okay? And then what I'll do is, just for the hell of it, you know, I'll exaggerate maybe how the light is on the lens. I'll go on the inside edge of the lens, right where it touches the frame, because the glass got cut back. And you can see it on the picture. See, there's a little white, bright area all along the inside edge of his frame, mainly down here where you can see the light much better right here. I will then go in there and cut that out with my subtractive technique, and I just go, and I'll take a little bit of a sliver, and that'll help it to pop. So maybe I can do a little bit of that now, just to, again, I'm trying to jump around just to show you different things. You'd want to wait to the end. That's more of a finishing kind of technique, a little detail, I should say. I wouldn't do that right now if I were you. I'd wait till this is further along, but I really want to show you as many techniques in one drawing as possible. And so there's the edge of the glasses there, the frame. I'm pressing very lightly as always. It's darker over there. That you can see little by little how it's just kind of starting to come to life as I add more darks to it and start subtracting out some light. So let me get my brush here. Just gonna grab the first brush I see. I'm just gonna add a little bit more blending in it, just so it kind of darkens it. See if I can make it happen. It's got kind of like a furry tip there, just because I'm using it, but let's see if I can make it happen here. Clean my eraser a little bit. There we go. Sorry if I blocked the picture, I just gotta get comfortable here. And then I'll clean that off. And you can see a little bit, I hope. You can see that little edge that I added to the bottom of it. And if I make it just slightly bit darker, adding medium, let me first, before adding more material, let me clean it off of my, see what that just happened, the smudge there? I'm glad that happened. It was from me cleaning this off. If I were to just leave that, like a lot of you do, that you just leave it as, you know, the blackhead you can get, right? And you leave that on top, it just sits on the surface, okay? These are happy accidents, like Bob Ross used to say, right? That's a happy accident. It's not an accident I want, but a happy accident for you to learn. That's what's gonna happen if you just let it sit on the surface. You gotta blend it in, okay? Even if it makes it a little lighter, not a big deal. If not, you know, you're gonna really have to, you're gonna have to be really careful to take care of this, or you're gonna have one hell of a time. Just like that, it's gone. Okay, back to what I was doing here. So I jumped over to a medium. Just to make it a little bit darker. The medium's a little darker, so instead of darkening more of the area to help that highlight stand out, I'll just darken the frame, right? In reverse, darken the frame rather than the area, and that'll make it look darker. So there's that. You can see that little highlighted area a little bit better now. And now this area here of the, I think it's called the stem of the glasses, does that. Jump over to a extra soft, if I can find it, and do the hat area right around that stem. It's supposed to be black, and then the stem's a little bit, looks like a brown stem or something. It looks like it's a lot lighter than the black hat behind it. So I want to do that like so. Now I'm going to get my stump, and I'm going to blend with the stump because I want that to really set into the paper there. Again, I'm not pressing hard. Look at that. Beautiful. And there's a little highlight at the edge of the little stem as it bends backwards into the head. And like I said before, you can use the stump almost like a pencil to draw. Again, I'm not pressing hard. You get that. So now in here, there's like a shadow. So I apologize. I was talking about the lens earlier. I just remembered I kind of got off that topic. But when I get into the lens, sometimes what I'll do is, just because it's just very interesting, I'll sometimes, you know, it takes a little nerve, but I'll go across the lens right into where the lens is, and I'll go like this with my eraser, my little click eraser. I'll just go like this, and what that does, it looks like the edge of a window or light or something shining on the lens. Takes a little nerve because people are gonna, you know, draw and they're gonna put all this effort and be like, what? Now I gotta screw up my drawing by doing that? You don't have to do that. But I'll tell you, I've done it and it works. It looks